Hi there, my name is Matthew from MB2 Studios and welcome to a devlog for my game Teapot, a 2D 90s inspired platformer where you play as a baby raptor that collects cats, meets frogs and eats snowmen, while you try and solve the mystery of how you got to this strange land in the first place. The last devlog I did was received quite well and I got quite a lot of suggestions for things to add. Now in this episode I'm going to create a new enemy and add it to the game, but first I'm going to go over the comments and see if I can add anything of those suggestions that you guys put below. Okay, so first off, Ethan Smith says Teapot Battle Royale. Yeah, this one seems unlikely because I have zero idea how to do multiplayer. But maybe I could add mini-games of some sort and have a small single-player Battle Royale type of mode in the game. I'll keep that in mind for the future, but Teapot Fortnite might not be possible. Sorry. You should add the option for a timer to be on the screen for speedrunners. This idea is absolutely great. When testing the game, I often try to see how fast I can beat it, and even sometimes I've had competitions with the game's other testers to see who can beat it fastest. So I think this is actually a must-have in the game, so I'm going to work on this now. So the code for this is fairly simple, but it just takes a lot of refinement on things like when to stop and start the timer, what happens if the player quits to the title screen mid-run, the placement of the timer on screen, and the option to toggle it being visible. To sum it up though, this game is locked at 60 frames per second, so we need to create 3 variables, one for frames, one for seconds, and one for minutes. Every frame of the game, the frames variable goes up by 1. When it reaches 60, it resets back to 0, and it adds 1 to the seconds variable. Every 60 seconds, that variable now resets, and a 1 is added to the minutes variable. So that's all the timer really is. After that, I just have to make it visible on the screen. And so it starts when you start the game and it ends on the very last screen. And then I just need to make a toggle to show the timer. So to turn it on and off, it's in the cheats menu at the very top. There's just an option that just says speedrun timer. So thanks so much for the suggestion, Jacob. It really made the game much better. Now if anyone else has any suggestions for the game, please put it in the comments and I might just add it and shout you out next time. Right, so now on to creating a new enemy. The first thing that I do is design it visually, and this time I didn't even have to really do that, because luckily I had artwork drawn by LarryInk64 for one of my previous games that was never finished. And I like to reuse old concepts if they're from games that won't ever see the light of day. The only problem with this though is that the art for the enemy is more detailed, it has more of a 16-bit style instead of the more 8-bit style of Teapot, so I had to actually downgrade it to make it fit in the world better. After that, I copy and pasted one of the other enemies and stripped away all of their movement code, so it was just the new design that stood there, could be killed and could hurt the player, but the animation speed was a little too fast. After that, I have to design how the enemy will actually move. The animated sprite for this character is jumping, so I knew he would do that, but I could make it way more interesting. I drew up this concept art which shows how this character moves. If the player is in range and the player jumps or bites, then the enemy will jump either out of the way or towards the player, so the way to kill the enemy is to bait them with a short hop and then you can jump on its head. The code for this was very tricky, but to sum it up as quickly and roughly as I can, if the distance to the player is less than 100 pixels and the player's state is equal to bite, or the player is touching the ground and presses the spacebar, aka jumping, then if the enemy is on the ground, its vertical speed goes up, as well as its horizontal speed, basically jumping either towards or away from the player. So that's a new enemy added. I'm now going to end the video with a showcase of how it works, but thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to leave any suggestions down below, and I hope you'll tune in to the next devlog.